Today, we're going to talk about a powerful force that's reshaping household finances all over the world. Now, it's not something you'll ever see on a pay stub, but you definitely feel it every single time you go to the grocery store or pay your rent. Have you ever felt this? It's a really weird paradox so many of us are living through right now. You know, your salary goes up, maybe you even get a nice promotion, but your ability to save, to invest, or just to live comfortably, it feels like it's shrinking. So what on earth is really going on here? All right, first up, let's follow the money, or I guess the lack of it. Let's look at where the value in your paycheck is actually going. For years, we've heard that taxes aren't really rising. And yet life just feels more expensive, doesn't it? A lot more fragile. Well, this isn't just a feeling. It's the real result of a quiet, steady erosion of your purchasing power. The money didn't just vanish into thin air. It was transferred. So, what does this financial pressure actually look like on the ground, for real people? Let's break down the anatomy of this middle-class squeeze. Yeah, these symptoms probably look all too familiar. The price of the absolute essentials, we're talking groceries, gas, rent, it's all climbing sharply. And at the same time, wages just aren't keeping up, which creates what economists call a wage-price gap. This forces families to cut back, and more to take on debt just to cover their basic expenses. And get this. This isn't just a hunch people have. According to research from the Federal Reserve, a staggering 80% of middle-class households are now considered liquidity constrained. But what does that actually mean? Well, being liquidity constrained basically means you're living on the edge. It's like walking a financial tightrope with no safety net below you. A single unexpected expense, a car repair, a surprise medical bill, can throw your whole world into a financial crisis. And it just hamstrings your ability to build any kind of wealth for the future. And this chart really shows you it's a long-term problem. See, data from the Federal Reserve shows that the middle class's share of the whole economic pie has been shrinking a lot. Between 2001 and 2013 alone, it dropped from 20% all the way down to just 12%. The squeeze is very real, and it has been going on for a long time. Okay, so if this isn't an official tax, what in the world is it? Now we get to the absolute heart of the matter. It's time to pull back the curtain on the hidden tax itself. Think about it. An official tax is visible, right? You see it on your payslip. Politicians debate it. It's a very clear political act. But inflation, it works totally differently. It's silent. It's invisible. It feels more like bad luck or just the way things are. But it erodes the value of your money every single day without any vote or public debate. And that right there is the key. Inflation isn't just some random economic weather event that happens to us. As our source material puts it, it's a political decision with massive economic consequences. It's a tool that quietly moves wealth from one group to another. So why would governments ever choose this path? Well, it's because their other options are just harder. Raising taxes? That's a classic vote loser. Borrowing money? That gets really expensive, especially as public debt keeps piling up. So that leaves the third option, creating new money, which is what fuels inflation. It's the path of least political resistance, a stealth tax that most people don't even realize is happening. So let's look at the evidence. How does this hidden tax actually operate in the real world? How is it collected? Okay, our first case study is something that affects pretty much everyone, the cost of housing. Shelter is a primary driver of this middle-class squeeze. So take a look at this breakdown of the Consumer Price Index. That's the official measure of inflation. Shelter, which means rent and housing costs, makes up a massive 36% of the total. That is the largest share of any single category by far. So it's simple. When housing costs go up, they drag everything else up with them. And here's the thing. Shelter costs are what's known as sticky. They don't go down easily. As this timeline shows, even when overall inflation peaked and started to fall back in 2022, shelter inflation just kept climbing for another 9 months. I mean, a full year after the peak, inflation on everything else had collapsed to less than 1%, but those stubbornly high housing costs just kept the pressure on family budgets. All right, for our second case study, we've got a really fascinating and honestly counterintuitive story. It comes from a transition economy, and it challenges a lot of what we think we know about who inflation hurts the most. Take a look at this chart. The conventional wisdom has always been that inflation hits the poor the hardest, but this incredibly detailed research from Romania shows something completely different. You see that red line there skyrocketing above all the others? That represents the inflation rate experienced by the middle class. Let's just break down those numbers because they are wild. Over this period, the middle class in Armenia faced a cumulative inflation rate of almost 50%. That's way higher than the rate for low-income households and is staggering 83% higher than the rate for the wealthy. Now, why? It's because their spending was concentrated in things like transport and housing, the very categories that saw the most extreme price hikes. And this brings us to our final section, and really, the ultimate verdict on this hidden tax. It's not just a burden, it's an unequal one. This quote from the Cartwright source just sums it up perfectly. A regressive tax is one that takes a larger percentage of income from people who earn less. So for example, a $1 tax on gas is a much, much bigger burden for someone earning $30,000 a year than for someone earning $300,000. And that is exactly how inflation works. And this redistribution of wealth isn't random. The winners are those who own assets that actually go up in value with inflation, like property and stocks. And you know who the biggest winner of all often is? The government, the biggest debtor, because inflation literally shrinks the real value of what it owes. And the losers? Well, they're the savers, the wage earners, and the renters, the very heart of the middle class. And that leaves us with this final thought. Inflation isn't a force of nature like a hurricane. It's the direct outcome of policy choices. Understanding it as a hidden tax gives us so much clarity, not just about the economy, but about our own finances. It changes how we think about saving, investing, and what we should demand from our leaders. The hidden tax is a policy choice. So the real question is, what choices will we make when it's no longer hidden?